You are listening to Forged Among Stars, a solo RPG actual play podcast presented by DiceGeeks.com. Welcome. My name is Matt Davids. I will be your game master and only player during this season of Forged Among Stars. I am a tabletop RPG writer, game designer, as well as a novelist. I thank you so much for joining me as I play through Ironsworn Starforged, a tabletop RPG designed by Shawn Tomkin. If you would like to learn more about me or the game, please check for links in the description wherever you are listening to this podcast. Now, it is time to journey among the stars. Okay, a few little bits before we move into today's session. I'm trying to leave you guys on cliffhangers. Hopefully that just enhances your enjoyment of the story, and hopefully you are enjoying the story. I am having so much fun creating this world and the adventures of Hawking Duval. So, a couple little things that I wanted to clear up. I keep making mistakes. I apologize for that. I am trying to get better at this game. I want to learn the mechanics because I want to do some fun stuff in the future, like perhaps adapt these rules to my own game. So I am playing through with the goal of having a ton of fun and learning these mechanics. So keeping with that, I made a few mistakes. I had wanted Hawking Duval to create a connection with Merrick Frost, aka Razor, who was the other party in the negotiation that took place on Paragon Station. I totally forgot to do that, so I am going to do that now because I think this totally fits Hawking's character. He is about people. He is about creating connections. He is about building a network and having a connection that he can call, even if Razor, they don't get a chance to develop that relationship or anything like that. That doesn't bother me too much. It's just the idea of having that contact in kind of Hawking's arsenal, right? Really excites me. So I am going to create a contact, or try to create a contact with Mr. Merrick Frost, aka Razor, and we're going to see how that went. So this would have happened back before Hawking left Paragon Station. Okay, so we got a weak hit on that make a connection move, and what the rules say is that comes with a demand or some kind of revelation. How I'm going to envision that going down is after the negotiations were over and they bowed to each other. Right before Merrick Frost left, Hawking kind of caught him and just chatted with him a bit. And Merrick Frost, aka Razor, was kind of interested in forming a connection. But as they were talking, he says, well, Jester, I'm not quite sure you know what people you're dealing with. And he kind of smiles and gives Hawking that buddy pat on the shoulder, and then he turns around and walks out. And I'm going to make this connection dangerous. And this kind of hints at possibly that Razor here is maybe some kind of unsavory actor. He is not just a simple businessman as he looks on the outside. And so Hawking kind of, okay, we'll be careful then, I guess. And so I'm going to mark that down as dangerous, and we did not get a chance to develop the relationship or anything like that. And I'll assign Razor a roll on the table. Oh, okay, we got criminal. So there you go. He's a criminal. Sweet. Now, to kind of continue forward, we saw last time that I had a lot of success. And that usually doesn't make for interesting storytelling, but I'm considering this, since we're still kind of at the beginning, I'm considering this kind of laying the foundations. We're getting our world into place. We're getting some contacts into place. And I think things are going to go crazy here pretty soon. I'm still working on this idea of what the cultural milieu, if I can use fancy words, kind of looks like. I want to create some more of the mysticism of Dune, some of the more of the formality, some more of the ritual. And I'm thinking about ways I can get that into the world as we continue. And hopefully soon I'll nail down some of these aspects of the world. Also, I made a couple of bonds, and they happened really fast because I set them at troublesome, and I look for every opportunity to kind of develop the relationships. Now, the PDF says that like making a bond is like something like really serious, and like a ceremony happens. Although I'm going to say Hawking's bond with Brianna Keelan, the buzzard, is more of a business type of bond. Like they share a mutual respect, and that's why they shared their names with each other. So, and I don't really think it goes anything deeper than that. Echo Carr, or AKA Dancer, I think that's a different story. I think Hawking finds her very intriguing, let's say. And this relationship may turn into something else if it can withstand the tests of the Forge. All right, now we're going to jump in today. So we last left our hero, Hawking Duval, as he was helping clean up a spare bedroom on the Shard of the Sun, his ship, so that Echo Carr could move into that. So to kind of get us in a place where we can jump back into the action, what I'm going to say is that the rest of the day, Hawking and Echo cleaned out the spare room and got her set up and installed into her own quarters. And Hawking, now, let's say it's late in the day and they've just eaten a little bit of dinner, like nutrient bar or something. And they are in the cockpit, and Hawking Duval is going to run some scans on the planet, and he is trying to scan the precursor vault, but we won't do a move just yet. He's just kind of scanning it and getting some, just very basic information, nothing that would require a move right now. And Echo, let's say she comes in to the cockpit and she's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, not too much. I was just starting to make some kind of basic scans of the precursor vault that's on the surface." "Why?" "Well, because I'm going to go inside of it." "You're what? You're crazy." "Well, I may be crazy, but I'm definitely going inside the vault." "Oh my gosh, that would be so dangerous." "Yes, I know. But it's very important to me. I have to see what's inside the vault." Echo nods. "Okay, I understand if it's important, but it's still really dangerous." And Hawking says, "Yes, I know it's dangerous, and it's going to be even more dangerous because I'm a little low on supplies. So I was thinking about jumping over to Lodestar and resupplying and then coming back. Because we have a lot of time after all. I discussed it with Buzzard, and she didn't seem to be concerned if I went down there." "Oh, you're going to go to Lodestar first?" Hawking kind of stops what he's doing and turns and says, "Why, is that a problem?" And Echo just looks back and she says, "Well, on Paragon, for the last few days we had been collecting data of the planet, and it shows that there may be a major earthquake centered around an area near the precursor vault." Hawking reels and he looks back up and says, "An earthquake?" A strong one? She's like, yes, all indications. We'd been running scans. It's just normal procedure, but all indications say it's going to be a strong one. I see. Hawking kind of sits back in his chair. And you're sure about this? I'm not necessarily sure, but the scans were sure. Absolutely, there's going to be an earthquake soon, and probably a big one. Huh. Did Buzzer know? Yeah, she knew. I see. And how long did you say? I don't know exactly. Soon. I mean, I looked at the data just a day or two ago. Very soon. A few days. Maybe sooner. Hawking's mind just kind of races, and he's just thinking, if we go to Lodestar and come back and the earthquake's already happened, then the vault could be damaged. And that's when he hears a small voice in his mind. Choices, choices. He shakes his head. He looks back up at Echo. I guess I have no choice. I have to go into the vault now. She looks back. She's like, you are dead set on this, aren't you? He nods gravely. Okay, well, if you think it's best, but it's going to be extremely dangerous. So from this point, we are going to have to do some moves. And I think really quickly is what I will do is Hawking is going to swear an iron vow to find some secret knowledge or relic within the precursor vault. So this is going to be helped by his Tomb Raider Lore Hunter asset. And so we will see how this goes. All right, there we go. I got a strong hit just right out of the gate. Now, my Lore Hunter asset would allow me to reroll any of the dice, but I don't have to because I just got a strong hit. And what that does is gives me +2 to my momentum. All right, my momentum is maxed out at +10. That is really awesome because I think I'm going into some very, very dangerous situations here in just a moment. Also, what I am going to do, I need to sign this Iron Vow a rank, and I think it is going to be extreme. I think this is extremely dangerous. Number one, it is after dinner. So Hawking thinks he has to go now. He's going to go now. So it is after dinner. This means he is going to be going down there after almost a full day of doing things. So he is going to be tired. And so I will kind of mechanically reflect that instead of making this like formidable. I will just go ahead and make this vow extreme. I have created the vow. I have called it Explore the Caladan Precursor Vault. How this looks in fiction is that after Echo is kind of very concerned for his safety and is asking him a few questions, he says, yes, this is very important to me. So important, in fact, that he reaches around and pulls this chain around his neck and grips tightly in his hands that sliver of that ancient starship. And he says, I swear upon the ships that brought us here that I will find some knowledge or relic in this vault before it is too late. Then he places his token back under his shirt. Echo looks a bit distressed, because now here this person that she has made a bond with has just sworn to go into incredible danger. Now, mechanically making this vow extreme means that it is going to be extraordinarily difficult for me to accomplish this, and hopefully Hawking won't die. But what I am going to say is I'm going to say that Echo is not going to go with him, not because she couldn't handle herself or anything like that, but just because I don't want to manage two characters my first go around while exploring this vault. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say Echo is going to stay on the Shard of the Sun and kind of help Hawking that way. She's going to keep a comm line open to him, and she's going to have access to the scanners and help talk him through some maybe difficult spots when he is exploring this precursor vault. So in fiction, what this looks like is that Hawking adjusts the controls of the Shard of the Sun. He swings the ship out of kind of a high orbit, down through the atmosphere, past these clouds, and then these trees that reach above the clouds, and he kind of slips over the surface of the canopy, and the crackling energy spire comes into view, and it is awe-inspiring. And Hawking is just absolutely stunned by the view, and Echo makes an audible gasp. Like, who could build things like this? Like, they're both just awestruck at seeing this structure now up close, because Echo had never been this close. And obviously Hawking, this is the first time that Hawking is seeing it as well. And as they swing around, they can see the area where the automated salvage drones kind of come down and land and are picking off pieces of the outer shell of this precursor vault. Hawking maneuvers the ship into a good location that is some distance away from the precursor vault, and actually quite a distance from the crackling energy spire as well. So this means he is going to have to take a trek through the jungle to get to the precursor vault, but what he doesn't want to happen is, if there is an earthquake, he does not want that energy spire to fall on the Shard of the Sun and his companion Echo. So they land. I'm just going to kind of go through that. He lands the ship in this spot, and he's going to get ready for this expedition. And now I'm going to have to do some moves. I think I need to do a couple things. I think I need to gather information on the precursor vault to see the best way to enter the vault. And I think I also need to do check gear to see if he has any kind of climbing gear or something like that. So let's do the gather information first, because let's say he's been kind of working the scanners and scanning the area as he's done a flyby and come in for a landing now. And so he's going to interpret some of this data. So we're going to do gather information. All right, rolling against wits. And I got a strong hit with a match. So let's figure this out. Okay, well, it says that I get +2 momentum. I have to just throw those away because I'm already maxed. And then it says your way is clear, and it introduces some kind of narrative twist that is beneficial. So it says my way is clear. Now, I wanted to land the ship far away from the vault because I don't want the earthquake to knock down that energy spire and have it crash on my ship and kill Echo. So what I'm going to say this is that while we did a flyby and came down and did some scanning, that we actually found the remnants of an old road. And it was made out of some ancient material that's, while weathered and while overgrown in certain places, and while, kind of chipped away, it is still a pretty clear path to a doorway that leads into the vault. So we are able to land our ship, even though it's pretty far away from the vault. We were able to land our ship there, and instead of blazing a trail across unknown territory in a jungle looking for the vault, I can just roll, I think it's set a course when the time comes. And that is absolutely more beneficial to Hawking, to him to be able to get into the vault without dying in the jungle. I would rather Hawking die in the vault trying to get what he wants instead of, dying in the jungle and having some kind of koala bear platypus creature, rip his eyes out or something like that. So that is really good. But first, before we set the course and we set off, I'm going to check gear. And what I'm checking for in my gear is some climbing equipment, rope and carabiners and a climber's harness and rappelling line. Because, I don't know. These places always have like big giant pits and tubes in them where you could throw the Dark Emperor. Right? Come on. That's what they have. So that's what he's going to check his gear for. And another strong hit. All right, so it says you have it, and I can take some momentum, but I have to throw that away. I'm already maxed, so I have that gear, and I am ready to act. Okay, so that is great. So this is shaping up to be some really cool stuff here. I know this is only setting me up for disaster, guys, because that's just what's going to happen. All right, this is going way too smooth. And I know it's going to come. It's going to come sooner or later, and it's going to be harsh. So he's ready to act, and he's ready to go. So since we've rolled really, really well, he is going to set a course. But first, we have some fiction to take care of. So this is what happens. So Hawking gathers all of his scan data, and he mentions to Echo, he's like, look at this. It's an ancient road. We're able to land the ship here, and I'll have a straight shot right to the vault. Echo is like, this is amazing. She's like, I've never seen anything like this before. I know. These vaults are wondrous things. So then he moves into a supply and work area, and he opens up his cabinet, and he pulls out climbing gear with carabiners and a rappelling harness, and he latches that onto himself, and he pulls up a backpack, and he stows the rope and the gear, and he gets himself ready. He punches the controls on the side of the wall of the Shard of the Sun, and a landing platform lowers. And we had already determined that the atmosphere was ideal, though I'm sure he has his goggles and a little respirator kind of thing along with him just in case. And then he looks over at Echo, and Echo looks back, and Hawking says, I'll open a comm channel. I want you to monitor it. Keep the scanners on me. I'll send you any relevant data. If I need your help, I will call at a moment's notice. She says, absolutely. Of course. I'll be on that comm, and I'll be watching you on scanners. He nods to her, and he starts to go down the ramp, but she catches his hand and turns him back. She looks at him, and she says, Hawking, I need you to be careful out there. She reaches into her pocket, and she pulls out a small golden disc that has some kind of like an impression on it, like something's been impressed into this little disc. She holds it up, and it is a symbol of a sun. And she reaches up, and she pins it to Hawking's coat, where his heart would be, or a sheriff would wear his badge. And once it's pinned there, she kind of puts her hand on it and then pulls it away. And he now has this little symbol of a sun pinned to his coat. She looks at him and she says, my mother gave this to me. It's very important to me. I want you to bring it back. Hawking is still trying to process some of these feelings. He understands how important this is to her. He takes her hand and he kisses it very gently in a very gentlemanly manner. And then he lets it go and he says, I'll bring it back. And he turns and heads down the ramp, then presses the button on the outside of the ship, and the landing ramp begins to withdraw. He looks back and he can see kind of just through the angle, if you imagine like the Millennium Falcon's landing ramp. He's just looking back up in there. He can kind of see her at one point, but then as the ramp goes up, she kind of just slowly disappears. And he is just left staring at the outside of the Shard of the Sun, which is a cobbled together spaceship that looks like it should not fly, let alone travel through the deep reaches of space. And then he turns and he looks down this ancient, overgrown road that lies before him. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Forged Among Stars. Please consider subscribing to the podcast wherever you are listening to it so you never miss an episode. Another episode will be out soon, but until then, I will see you among the stars.